I think I had the best reading month this year. Where are my notes? The book is unhinged. And why would you want to kiss a guy on a graveyard? Hi everyone, welcome back again to my channel. I am Krishna Sudhir. This is Sardonic Sabha. Is that the first time that I said the name of the channel on a video? In a video, I mean. That is weird. How's it been? It's already March. Wow, it's already been the third month. How's it going? Have you been reading anything good? Any new books that you read that you loved, or have you started getting into this hobby this month? Anyway, I had a great reading month in Feb. Every book I read, I liked. I did not DNF anything. So I am pretty excited to talk about books I read in February. So I read few romances and I did not find them cliched because obviously it was Valentine's. I picked up some romance books. And then I read a very anticipated fantasy new release. You might know what that is. Then I read few 5-star audiobooks. Wow, I can't wait to talk about that. Then I read some weird books. They're not bad, but you would not think about those scenarios if I hadn't read them in a book. Never think about situations like that. Those books. I don't know where I get these weird book recommendations. Obviously YouTube or Bookstagram or Book Talk. And I'm so gullible that I'm easily influenced. So I pick them and read them. But sometimes I find gems like that. Like it's not usually marketed in India, or sometimes they are like Kindle Unlimited books, or they're only released as audiobooks, but I find some gems there. And I love finding underrated books and then promoting them. Let me know if you read any books that I recommended. Wow, that's a off chance, but I'd love to know that. Anyway, let's get started. So last month I read 9 books. Yes, I know, I read a lot. I had a vacation. I read 5 physical books and 2 on Kindle Unlimited and 2 as audiobooks. And let's start with the one that I read the latest, and then we'll work backwards. And that one is, it's an audiobook. If I were to rate or do if I were to do star rating, I would give 5 stars or like full stars, 10 stars, I don't know. For this audiobook, it's called Paladin's Strength. Now on this channel, the 6-7 videos that I've put in so far, I've talked about Paladin's Grace in almost all of them. So this book is by T. Kingfisher, and all of these books are in the same universe. So I read Paladin's Grace last year. It was one of the best books of 2024 for me. And this year I read the second book, which is Paladin's Strength. I listened to it on Audible. I would love to get my hands on a physical copy of these books, but they are freaking expensive to get, and it's really hard to get hold of them on a bookstore. It's only through Amazon you can order, and it's almost 1,500 just for one, which is expensive for me. So, but they are available in Audible. You can listen for free if you have the Audible membership. So that's how I listen to these books. Wow. Now, if you haven't picked them up yet, please do. I would say just go blind and read it, and you'll not regret it. The time you spent reading a T. Kingfisher book is it's so much fun. It is such a fun-packed entertainer from end to end. This book
is happening in the same universe as Paladin's Grace. So in this world, gods still exist, and they don't take disciples. Instead, they have soldiers, and these soldiers fight the battles on the behalf of gods. And you have a god of steel who has died, which is introduced in the first book, and we follow one of the soldiers.
So the main character in the first book, and in this one, Istvan, who is another soldier of the same clan. We follow him here, and his FMC, the female main character, is actually a nun who's also bear. Like she can turn into a bear, so that's the dynamic of the book. But there are zombie fights, there are necromancers, there are like zoo animal displays. The book is unhinged, and it is so much action-packed and romantic and emotional, and I just have the best time when I listen to these books. Paladin's Strength by T. Kingfisher. please pick it up. This book was one of the most anticipated read of 2025 for me, and I read it. It did not disappoint me. It is Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Wow. I was looking forward to get this book in my hand so much. I waited. I got the package. I started reading it, and then I went on a trip. I went on a trip to Manali. It was great. But I thought I'd finish this before I went on the trip, but I couldn't. So I had just had like this much left, and I had to come back and finish it. Yeah, but that was unsettling to wait to know what happens. Now, if you don't know about the series, this is the third book in the fourth wing. I don't know if you can see here. It's fourth wing, Iron Flame, and then Onyx Storm. Fourth wing was 5 stars. Like it was good in all aspects. Iron Flame felt rushed and pretty much like the same things happening in fourth wing. I was not that happy. I did not think I would continue the series after Iron Flame, to be honest. But then, again, very gullible, easily influenced, I read Onyx Storm, and man, I cannot spoil the book. But see, if you're seeing a review of Onyx Storm, I'm assuming you would have read Iron Flame. If not, please skip the part where I'm talking about Onyx Storm. You know what happens to Satan in Iron Flame? It's not good, guys. It's not good. And I thought that this book was the final one. I don't know why. I did not research about it, but I knew this is not the end when I read the last page. This book finished me, not the other way around. And I'm for sure going to forget everything that happens in this book when the next book is released. That was a problem, actually. It was so hard to get into it. The first 60 pages were, I don't know, it was like a fever dream. No matter how many recap videos I saw, I still couldn't, remember all these minute plot details that the author is trying to tie back from Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And it was like, I think I'm going to lose it. I have to read the first 2 books again, but then it got better. I read chapter summaries to actually understand the first 2-3 chapters. I was a little disappointed with Violet's second signet manifestation. Again, it's not a spoiler. You all know Violet has 2 signets. So, yeah. I don't know what to say. I liked the book. The pacing was good. The action sequences were very indulging, and it was not drawn out like Iron Flame. I felt the pace was good. I felt the length of the book was good. I felt the chapters were neatly, stacked, and the other POVs that you get were really good. Yeah, overall, I would recommend you guys to pick up Onyx Storm. If you did not like Iron Flame, especially, pick this up. You will get back into the series. I cannot wait to read the next book, which unfortunately Rebecca did not promise that she will start soon. Anyway, that was Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. Okay, on this trip to Manali, I read Too Good to Be True. I did a whole separate video about this book, all my thoughts and opinion about this book. It was quite controversial when it was released. It was written by Prajakta Koli, and yeah, everything I have to talk about that book is in that video. I'd link down that video either here or on the description. I will link it down. Go watch it. In short, it's a very simple romance book, and it is for a specific audience who would definitely enjoy and appreciate it. Unfortunately, I was not among that audience, but it was a simple Indian romance book. That's all. Too Good to Be True, Prajakta Koli. And then I read one of the new releases of Frieda McFadden. I read it on my Kindle Unlimited. It was The Crash. I don't know if this book is getting enough hype now as how her other books used to get. Like Housemaid was like a TikTok sensation. I read Crash, and it weirdly reminded me of Stephen King's Misery. If you have not read that book is amazing. Okay, that book is epic. Read it. So it reminded me some scenes of that book, of like getting trapped, being in captivity of a stranger after suffering from an accident. That's kind of what the gist of the book is. But like any other Frieda McFadden books, you can predict to an extent what happens. It's a thriller. It's 320 pages. It's, again, it does its job. It's an aeroplane book. You read it in one sitting. And I think she couldn't pull off a climax that usually happens. Like, we'd never expect like such an outrageous thing to happen. But this one, I kind of expected who the villain was, and I was disappointed. Like, if you could predict a thriller, then it's not a good one, I would say. But yeah, that was The Crash by Frieda McFadden. Okay, I'm old, I need specs to read. The next book I read was, just before Paladin's Strength, or along with it, I was reading Just for the Summer by Abby Eminis. Now, Yours Truly by Abby Eminis was, again, one of my top 10 books in 2024. Abby Eminis was easily becoming my favorite romance author. She does not write cliched or formatted romances. Her stories would have a huge character, backstory for both the main male character and the female main character. In this book, what did I write? This book starts where the female lead is reading a very funny Reddit post about a guy who has a curse on him. The curse is that any girl that he dates would break up with him and end up having the soulmate date next, right? That means if you date this guy, you break up with him, the next person you date is a soulmate. So she responds to this Reddit post saying she's having the same curse, like same thing happened to her 4 or 5 times. So they find the coincidence quite funny and they decide to test out the luck, try to break the curse by dating each other so that they break up and find their soulmates. That's how the book starts. But it is such heartfelt romance. There are so much of intense topics unpacked in here. You have to read the trigger warnings before you go in. There is a very toxic parent, and the lifestyle that child had to go through explained in detail. It is hard to actually read some part of it, at least for me. I don't know. But yeah, the guy in this book, Abby Eminis, and her men, they are not hot shots. They are not all 6'7" or whatever. They are not insanely handsome, or they are not like grumpy guys who fight for their woman, and they are not like unreasonably mad or angry all the time. They don't break chairs or anything. And Abby Eminis' men are sweet, and chivalry did not die with them. They are caring. They are husband material. That's what I would say. She makes it a point that she would not write shitty characters just for the sake of a plot or just for sake of a scene. She would not make a character shitty, and that is something I appreciate. I adore authors who think that their characters have to be three-dimensional. They have to have a reason for the way they behave, they talk, the way they make decisions. And these two people are the most genuine couple that I have read in a long time in a romance book. You can blindly pick this up and be assured you're gonna have a good time. Just for the Summer by Abby Eminis. Okay, then I listened to another audiobook, which was My Best Friend's Exorcism. Now, the author of this book also wrote a Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires. Both the book very eerie, very weird, and creepy. They're not thrillers exactly, but they are very atmospheric. That's what I would say. Now, this book is, again, set in 70s, 80s. We follow the life of 2 girls who are best friends. I remember the girl's name is Gretchen. That's the only name I remember, but forgot the other girl's name. But we follow them through their high school, a group of 4 girls in their high school, and how 80s high school days are actually like. What songs did they listen to? What was a proper girl gang doing back then? The problems of satanic cult outbreaks, and how it influenced the kids during that age, how drugs were like a huge part of the teenage back then. And this is an actual exorcism. Like, you have an actual demon haunting and taking over a girl's life, and her best friend doing an exorcism. The book's title actually is the plot, and it's very gross. It's, there are a lot of things that's explained we'll feel yuck, you do not want to have that mental image in your head. But I would say that's how the author is doing a good job. I know it's contradicting, but if this author is able to bring out any sort of emotion out of you, be it disgust, be it anger, be it sorrow, whatever it is, it means the author is talking to you, and you're not just reading an advertisement. You're reading a story, and that story is so lively. You feel it's real, and you feel that emotion. So in that way, this book is great. I would suggest the audiobook rather than reading it. But I heard, but I think the cover of the book is really good. Again, no physical copy. I have this rule, which is like, if I have an option to read it on Kindle, then on Kindle Unlimited, then I will not purchase its physical copy. If I am somehow able to read it for free on Audible, I will not purchase a physical copy. So all the books I have that I have here, it's because I couldn't get it on Kindle or on Audible. So if there was a library here, I would have made use of it, but no. I'm trying to make good financial decisions when it comes to purchasing books without actually hindering my insane reading. So anyway, that's Best Friend's Exorcism. My Best Friend's Exorcism. Pick it up if you think that's something up your alley. Okay, next is another physical book. Yay! It is Anatomy by Sana Schwartz. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Okay, this book, again, one of the weird books I read. This book's, how do I explain the vibe of this book? Bridgerton meets Hidden Figures, the movie Hidden Figures. Like, there is a black woman fighting for her space in an industry that is male dominated. Also, like, lessons in chemistry. Yes, that's a book. Like, this is set in early 80s when there is a plague outbreak, and this one girl who she is in the Regency era, so she's like a daughter of the Lord, and she's expected to do all this, courting and all of this, she expected to go to London and find a match and get married and all of that, but she wants to be a surgeon. And during that time, it was frowned upon to be a surgeon, but it was good to be a physician. Weird, I know. And women especially were not expected to be in this medical field at all. And if you wanted to actually study medicine, especially surgeon, like anatomy, if you have to study, it was hard to get, dead bodies to study on. And what they have to do is they have to actually steal them. Like, if there is this, poor guy who died and he did not have any relatives, you would hire people to steal recover the body from the grave so that doctors could study them. Yeah, that's what I said. It is weird. And this lady falls in love with one of those grave hunters, or whatever they call it. What do they call them here? I forgot. Yeah, this book was... There is a second part of this book called Immortality. I don't know if I'll pick it up yet. But it's... Again, the book is very visual. Like, the author does not tell about what's happening, but shows, which is what we all want to see in a book. So I do not hate it. I do not love it. It was hard for me to imagine such a world. First of all, it's way old. First of all, it's way back in a different country, in a different era, and it's a interest which I cannot relate to. So, to work on dead bodies. And the romantic settings that you see in this book, it is the most weird places that they choose to romance. Like, why would you want to kiss a guy on a graveyard? That's unhygienic. But Anatomy by Sana Schwartz. Then I read Radio Silence by Alice Oseman. Now, this book, I got the pretty cover version, not the other teal cover. I don't know. I'm so happy I got this. Now, this book, I knew about Alice Oseman from Heartstopper, but I was not exposed to her other books, and I saw Nona Upal recommend this as one of the books that she was gatekeeping, and I was intrigued and I picked it up. I thought this was a romance book, but surprisingly not. This is not a conventional romance book, but it unpacks queer relationship, situationship problems. Okay, but the book is about a guy and a girl who are in their last years of their school. They meet each other, or they find each other through a YouTube podcast, and they spark up this incredible friendship, and how they change each other's life, how they are there for the other person when they never thought anybody would be there for them. There is a toxic household scenario there, which is discussed a lot, which we would be feeling very enraged reading, which I think is where the author shines. But otherwise, this book feels like a warm hug. It is a feel-good book. Don't read it for the plot. There is no huge plot that you would see, and not necessarily for the writing. It's about the vibes, how it would actually transports you to a different period of your life. It felt nostalgic somehow reading this. Okay, I'm playing with. If I have a physical copy in my hand, I'm playing with it. It's distracting. Radio Silence by Alice Osman. And the last book, best for the last, I read Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. Oh my God. The characters in this book makes my heart melt. This book, so I read the author's note first before getting into this book. So the author has, she's not, I wouldn't say handicapped, but her fingers are not fully grown. So she has kind of like a crooked arm. And the main female character in here also have the same arm. And she made the male main character without a leg. I mean, yeah, he lost it to cancer, and she did not have the whole palm from birth. So that's the premise. This is not a spoiler, that's there on the cover. So get into it knowing what the premise of the book is, but that will not hinder your experience of reading a romance book. This is an accidental pregnancy trope. That is also not a spoiler, but again, will not hinder your experience in enjoying a good romance. Again, just like Abby Jimenez, Hannah Bonham Young, her men are the sweetest, the most caring, the most emotionally intelligent and available men portrayed in books. And I appreciate her so much for creating this character. Wow. It is so fulfilling to actually read and go through a story where everything falls in place, and anything that's gone wrong has an actual valid reason behind it, and you reach out for these characters when they fall down. And so I felt that these are like my friends, and if something happens to them, I have to stand up for them. Like, that is a kind of emotion Hannah raised in me. So kudos to her. So among all the books I've discussed today, if I want you to read one book, pick this. I think I had the best reading month this year. Already in Feb. I don't know, I think I had the best combination of books, like with thriller, with Regency, romance and thriller, fantasy. I just read one fantasy book this month, and I think Paladin Strength can be counted as a fantasy, but just one. That's weird for me. I read a lot of fantasies. And I think in March I'm going to read quite a bit of fantasy that I have. I'm not a seasonal reader. It's not like if it's raining, I'll read fantasy. If it is sunny, I'll read romance. It's not like that. I'm very much a mood reader. So if I start reading a book, if the first 2-3 pages I'm not captured, I put it down and pick up another one. So yeah, but I think I had it was a strong start for the rest of the month. So that was all the books that I had to talk about. If you're still watching the video, if you're still here, thank you for listening to me yap about all the books I read. If you liked the reviews, if you have read any of these books, let me know. Comment down below there. And if you have any recommendations for me, let me know. Now, when you hear the books that I like here, you might know my kind of taste. If you have similar taste, then recommend your TBR or your books that you've read to me. I have few vlogs planned for March, planning to do a reading vlog for March about a book that's not finishing. have one. So until I see you on my next video, bye bye.